This is Roger Struckoff with Syscon TV, CloudEXPO East New York in the year 2016, and we are now into day 3 and sitting with Andrew Cole from Peak 10. Before we went live here, or before we turned the cameras on, he said that he wants to talk about disaster recovery. So there are still disasters that need to be, from which you need to recover, is that right?
That is correct.
Oh, and thanks for joining us, by the way. So now let's tell us a little bit about what that means to you and what you guys do.
So Peak 10 is a national cloud data center solutions managed services provider. Part of that is disaster recovery. We see a growing trend in the industry where companies are coming to us looking for assistance in their DR strategy. Disasters are anywhere from natural disasters to location disasters to human disasters, right? Actually, people disasters are the most prolific disasters that are out there. So, yeah, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, your Fortune 5 were the only ones that could afford disaster recovery. So through virtualization and things like that, it's brought the cost down, as well as it's enabled us to offer a shorter recovery time objective, or what they call RTO, for those customers who need to be up quickly, right? Whether that be for business, for regulations, regulatory compliances, and things like that. And it also, virtualization has allowed us to put more distance between production and disaster recovery. So now you can be 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 miles. You can be across the country or across the pond, if you will, for disaster recovery.
The sophistication that you're talking about, is that something you need to sort of explain to the customers? And they may not be aware of exactly how good a job you can do for them.
Yeah, we typically want to understand what the business needs. Disaster recovery is a business decision. It is not a technology decision. Businesses need to understand what downtime costs, right? So usually when I sit with a CEO or a CFO, I'll ask them what an hour or a day's worth of downtime costs them, monetarily and non-monetarily. So reputational. Seldom do we run into a customer who is the only one on the planet that is selling their services. There's always competition out there. So if I can't log into this website and buy this product, there's probably another website selling that same product that I can log into. So that type of reputational damage needs to be quantified. So when we sit down and talk with these customers, if they know what downtime costs them, then they're on their way to understanding what disaster recovery, what they need from a disaster recovery perspective.
Be scared, very scared, but actually, once you get past the fear, let's go through that a little bit, because it is a business decision, and there's a lot of steps, and it's not. I'm not trying to think. When you hear the word disaster, you think of something that's unexpected, but in fact, you kind of live in the world of the expected, unexpected, or that's the whole reason for your business. Exactly.
And, we tell customers, plan for when, not if, right? It's going to happen, and we've had disasters, our customers have had disasters as simple as rats have gone and chewed through the cables. They've lost internet connectivity. Their systems were fine, but they couldn't get access to it, nor could their external customers get access to it. So, a rat, chewing through cable could be some type of a disaster. It doesn't have to be, a meteor hitting the earth, in a smoking crater scenario. That's those things you think about, but you plan for the more common types of disaster. Buildings, multi-tenant buildings where there's a gas leak, right? You show up to work in the morning and the fire department has caution tape, they won't let you in. Your systems are fine, but your people can't get into their offices. So those are the types of things we help companies start to think about and then start to shape their individual DR plan. It's also very, very unique. We have companies that have 15 different types of applications they run, but they may have 3 or 4 different tiers of disaster. They don't need all 15 of those up immediately. They need 3 or 4 of those up immediately. So we help them stack rank, if you will, their most mission critical applications.
And you mentioned anytime there are we humans involved, there's going to be human-caused disasters.
Exactly.
Take us through a few of those real-world cases.
Real-world, this is unfortunate. I actually know the individual who did this, but in a company that shall remain nameless, the gentleman was doing normal maintenance, and he noticed that one of the drives in his SAN had failed. So went through the proper procedures to schedule the maintenance, went to pull the drive out, pulled the wrong drive out, and he had 2 drives that had failed in a RAID 5 config, wiped out the entire thing. Right, so that was a disaster. Now, luckily, they had all the data, right? But it took them about 2.5 days to rebuild and restore, right? So that disaster right there cost the company $1.4 million in lost revenue, right? And unfortunately, it also cost my friend his job. So we laugh, and that happens often, right? Inexperience is another one, right? We have a lot of people that are hired in IT, and they think they know what they need to do, and if you don't follow the procedure, you can cause what we call customer impacting events, which is bad.
Been known to happen. Going to continue to happen. These folks are on top of it. Where do they find you online? What's their URL, and what are they going to find when they get there?
Sure. There's a wealth of information out at www.peak10.com. That's peak10.com. Go out there. There's a lot of downloadable use cases and other materials. We just did a big healthcare use case study with Microsoft. So we cover all verticals, but there's just a ton of information out there, and there's ways to get a hold of us if you have any questions.
You can pay me now, or you can pay me later. There's another old line. Talk to them. I think you'll find what you need. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. For Syscon TV, this is Roger Struckoff.